Fairbanks Focus Alaska View is brought to you by the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Alaska's first university, and the Fairbanks Economic Development Corporation, bringing economic development to interior Alaska.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on Fairbanks Focus Alaska View. I'm Nanette Pearson, and today I am joined by Samantha Kirsten, Executive Director of the Fairbanks Food Bank. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd like to take a moment to thank you personally. My family has utilized the food bank at different times of great need, and we really appreciate you coming in today to talk to us. And I know you're here today to talk a little bit about some of the things that the food bank needs and everything else. Like I said, I just want to take a moment to say thank you on a personal level. And I really think that the food bank is really important here in Fairbanks. So how many years have you been the executive director at the food bank?
Well, gosh, what a wonderful introduction. And I'm so glad to meet a person who was able to utilize our services. I don't often have a chance to do that. Or at least people don't discuss it with me if they do. So I am glad to be here. I appreciate being invited, and I'm looking forward to talking about the next big issue at the food bank, which is Thanksgiving. So.
Oh yeah, and we're only like a week away from Thanksgiving now, so
countdown's on.
Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting myself. But what are some of the things that you guys are planning for Thanksgiving? What are some of the things that you need for Thanksgiving?
We expect to provide food assistance to at least 2,000 households, perhaps more. The number has been growing every year, and this is certainly not going to be an exception because the economy is still bad. We're providing more food assistance to people in our community than we ever have before. So the promise is not that we will have a turkey in every pot, but that there is no one in the Tanana Valley who needs to be hungry. So we've got some exciting things. Perhaps you read in the paper that the governor made arrangements for us to receive a wood bison from the herd that is in Portage by Anchorage. And so that will be part of our Thanksgiving fare. And of course, we'll have turkeys donated. And I'm really here to ask you today to make sure that if you have an extra can of cranberry sauce or especially stuffing or pies or bread, those are the 4 items that we're really counting carefully these days. We are way short of those items at this point if we hope to provide food assistance to over 2,000 households.
Well, awesome. And can you talk a little bit about the volunteer end of things? I know you guys have volunteers. I see them year round. I see people at the fair every year, and I always take a moment to shoot a basketball.
Thank you. Thank you.
So are you guys really needing some more volunteers as well for the holiday season? How can people get a hold of you guys to help out and to really be part of the community?
Actually, volunteers are not on our list of needs over the Thanksgiving time because that's the one time of the year everyone thinks of us. So I'm pretty sure that the volunteer list is full at this point.
Okay.
We have lots of people scheduled. We have had exciting times in the past. For example, one year we had an ice storm and all the volunteers who were scheduled weren't able to make it. And so I was standing out in a street corner going, help, help, help. But assuming that there are no natural disasters this year, then we do have all the volunteers we need. But please call us in January because by January people will have again forgotten us. And we need at least 15 to 30 different people each day to get the work done. Over the course of the year, we have at least 1,800 different people who come to volunteer. And we need each and every one of them. But strangely enough, the one time that we basically have as many as we need is at Thanksgiving.
Well, that's actually really wonderful to hear. Now I understand that the governor was here and brought that bison personally. Is that correct to Fairbanks?
Well, we thought he was going to be here to be with the bison, and that didn't happen because he had a different commitment. But we do have the bison. It did arrive last Friday. Actually, it was in 2 pieces, if you can imagine. It was dressed out at 1,100 pounds, and one of the pieces weighed 750 pounds, and the other weighed the rest of the 1,100 pounds. And so it was a very interesting opportunity for us. There has not been a harvested wood bison. This happened because I read in the newspaper that they needed to cull the herd, and they were talking about giving it to roadkill. And so I begged and pleaded because this is the time of the year we provide a lot of food assistance, and so we really wanted to have local grown food, and we're requesting that all year long, but in particular it makes sense at Thanksgiving to give thanks for what we have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How does 1,100 pounds of bison get processed exactly? If you can give us a sort of an idea of how that happens for you guys.
We took it to the processing company, and they will cut it into 2-pound wraps for us. There will be small roast, and some meat that's larger is not as, it will be a chili cut is actually what they call it, and then a little bit that's made into burger. And so we hope that many of our households will be able to have a small bison roast, and we hope that they understand that it's really a privilege to share in the wood bison.
Well, that's awesome. And now I also understand that with the new Montessori school here in Fairbanks, they're going to be coming to work with your volunteers next week to serve them lunch. Is that correct?
We have so many creative and wonderful projects that happen within the food bank. That's why I've been there for 23 years. There's so much joy every day. People think of lots of different ways to help. For example, I'll get back to the Montessori school, but Quota Club, for example, has been coming and making bread for Thanksgiving, and they're going to make pies for Thanksgiving. Oh. There are just so many good things that go on there. But the Montessori kids decided that they wanted to understand the process and thank the volunteers, which is really an important thing to do. So they're going to have a tour, and then they will actually bring food and cook it for the volunteers, because we have a volunteer lunch each day.
Oh, very cool.
And they're first graders.
Do they have a menu planned yet, do you know?
They do. They're planning on potato salad and hamburgers.
Oh, cool.
So perfect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there anything else that you'd like our public to know? I'm familiar, for instance, with the TFAP box. Do you mind talking a little bit with our viewers about that?
Well, the signature activity that we have, our mission statement, calls for us to collect local surplus food and give it to people who need it. And that's what we do. And we do that at the rate of 2 to 5 tons of food a day, and provide food assistance to at least 60 different households each day, and guesstimate that the number of people we serve in those 60 orders is at least 200 people a day. So that takes a lot of food to do that. But a few years ago, we looked around and realized that not everyone needs a full food box. They may need a nutritional supplement. And so we did take on 2 USDA programs, and those provide a little bit of nutritional supplement to go along with their whatever they're regularly able to obtain. So those 2 USDA programs are actually a once-a-month food box. And again, you never know what's going to be in them, because it's food that's sent to us by the government. But they do help many households in town. We're very glad to have that program, those 2 programs actually.
Cool. Well, very cool. And the other thing I was familiar with was the emergency food boxes, which I know people are able to get, and they're basically a food supply for 3 days. For people who are in dire emergencies, they can contact the food box, the food bank for those boxes. And I always, like I said, my family has had to utilize food bank a few times, and we were incredibly grateful for both the donations that people made to make that happen, and for the food bank for being there to help facilitate that. And is there anything else that you can tell us about the food bank, or do you guys is there a time of year outside of Christmas time? You said January is when you really need to start building up your volunteer group again. And food of any kind, is that true? Like if people have, game meat that they're cleaning out of their freezer, can you guys utilize that?
Yes. Probably the most important thing for me to tell you is to go to www.fairbanksfoodbank.org, because we have a list on the website of items that we need. And we take most kinds of wild fish and game. There are some things that we can't accept, but go there, take a look, and give us a call if you have questions, because we're your Fairbanks Community Food Bank.
And you guys do so much for the community, and I know that there's lots. Is there any people out there that are helping you guys, the food bank, along as well? Like as far as any businesses or people who are donating their time or services or food?
We have so many businesses that support us. We're so grateful for that. 88% of the income that we need comes directly through local resources. 10% comes through the government, and that is the USDA programs. And so we need and appreciate everything we can get, because your support of the Fairbanks Community Food Bank means that you're supporting the people locally who need your help.
So 88% is community generated. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, and I want our viewers to know one of the ways that my family's been able to give back to the community and back to the food bank as well is the pick and click. So,
Good idea.
In January, when you're thinking about going and volunteering for the food bank, and you're re-registering for your permanent fund dividend here in Alaska, there's all kinds of different wonderful organizations that you can take a moment to donate some money back to. And that was an incredibly easy way for me to give back to the Fairbanks Food Bank. And I, want to encourage my viewers, if you're ever utilizing or accessing the food bank and you feel like you'd like to return the favor, it's a really easy, simple way to give money back to the community and to help your community and to help your neighbors, because it's our neighbors and our friends, and it's our community, and I think the food bank is a really important part of that. And like I said, I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us today.
Well, we're deeply grateful for your ambassadorship of the food bank. If we all talk about the need and talk together about the solutions, then you know what? We really live in the best place. We really do. I've seen food banks in other communities, and we really live in the best place.
Well, we do, and I feel that there's really enough in the community that no one really has to go hungry.
I agree.
That none of us have to. All of us have things in our freezer, that maybe our friend gave us, or maybe someone went fishing, or maybe someone went and collected a moose this year. I know I'm a huge fan of picking berries.
Oh,
so
yes.
Do you guys ever take donations of, say, people's frozen berries from last year?
Absolutely. Those are wonderful gifts. We don't have enough that we would put them in individual food boxes, but we have agencies who serve traditional people who are so happy to have things like that. Those are very rare.
Awesome. Well, like I said, thank you again so much for coming on and joining us, and helping our community know that you're there, and that you guys do have needs, and get a hold of the food bank, and remember, it's your community, guys. We all live here together. So,
yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you. And next up here on Fairbanks Focus Alaska View, we have Samantha Larson. We'll be interviewing Tom from Calypso Farms.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Samantha Larson. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Tom Zimmer of Calypso Farm. Hi Tom, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, if you will, what is it that you do with Calypso Farm?
Well, Calypso Farm is a nonprofit educational farm. So we basically, our mission is to encourage kids to learn about where their food's coming from. So we have field trips on the farm where children can come to the farm and milk a goat, harvest vegetables, plant seeds, so basically giving them hands-on experience of where their food's coming from. We also have sheep, so we do some fiber classes, so all kinds of things farm-related. So that's the farm in a nutshell, but then we have off-farm educational programs as well.
Okay, and what is your position directly with the farm?
My title is Ecology Center Director, but I'm more of the maintenance person. My wife and Christy, my wife Susan and Christy Shell are the main farmers, and then I just make sure that there's water and everything that's needed to make the farm run smoothly. So kind of the infrastructure.
Nice. So as far as the programs go with students and their schools, are these farms on school grounds?
Yeah, so an offshoot of the field trips was how do we get more time with these children doing more growing. So we developed the School Garden Initiative where students have a chance to work on a garden at the school. So we work collaboratively with the school district. They allow us to put a garden in at the schools. Mm-hmm. And in the springtime, teachers can work with students to start plants. And then in the summer, we have a program called Eating, which is Engaging Alaska Teens in Gardening. And we take a group of kids on for a month or 5 weeks at a time, and they work the garden. So they're growing the garden and making sure that it's maintained. When we get to harvest time, they actually are selling veggies to the community. So this is an interactive program. It's the children have a chance to grow food on the school property, but they're also interacting with the community. They're providing some food for the community. So, and then in the fall, when the students are back in school and the teachers there, the teachers have a working garden that they can use with their classes. And we've written some curriculum that's standard-based. So a math teacher can go out and do percentages, averages, using real-life farm garden issues. You can do poetry, writing. So there's all kinds of curriculum that's written to work with the garden. Gets the kids outside, gives them a different perspective on learning.
And they can learn while getting their hands dirty.
Exactly.
No pun intended.
Everything we do is hands-on experiential education. So there's always room for book learning and rote memorization and things like that, but you also want to have some time where kids get to explore and actually feel and make mistakes. You know, this garden, if kids are weeding along and they start weeding and oops, they start picking the carrots, it's not a big problem. You know, you learn from your experiences. So we go for pure hands-on experience there in the gardens.
Okay, so as far as these programs go, does somebody from Calypso Farm go out to the schools in the garden and teach the kids? Or?
Right, so for the School Garden Initiative, we have a year-round position at the farm where we have a coordinator who runs this program. And then for the summer, we hire people, a supervisor for each garden. So for example, we have a garden at Hunter. And this year, Evan was hired, and he worked with the children Monday through Thursday. They work 3 hours a day, and he's right there with them, supervising them, showing them what to do, giving them, you know, lots of room to learn. But yeah, it's a supervised program. And then Evan also, at the end of the season, as the school came back in, he worked with the teachers, trying to encourage them to go out to the garden and, hey, you could try doing this. So that's there's a year-round staff person, and then there's also summer hires. And so we're always looking. We're actually in the winter. That's what we do, is figure out who's going to be the next supervisor. So if anyone is interested in this program, wants to get involved,
that'd be a great spot.
That's a good fit.
I think that's a great program with the school. I personally wish that I would have had something available at my school to get involved and you know, learn about vegetables and how to grow and eating healthy.
Yeah, the school part, it's tricky because, you know, the school has their schedule and things going. We're working with the school district to put in this garden, but Calypso takes on the actual funding responsibility for the garden. So although we're selling some vegetables to the community, that covers less than 10% of the program. So we have a lot of community support. Local businesses give donations to the program. We have membership through our nonprofit. So we also have, right now we actually have a state legislative grant which helps too. So these programs, it's an educational program, so it takes funding. And although we are selling produce, it doesn't fund the whole thing. So that's our role. Calypso's role is really making sure that the program is funded and is really efficiently moving along. So.
Okay. So as far as the community goes, what do you guys do to get them involved, or how do members of the community contribute?
Yeah, so as a farm, you have to think about diversity. That's talking about your soils, your plants, and everything like that. And we do the same thing with our funding. It's diversity. We don't survive just on one large grant. We have community members, so people can pay a membership that says, I like what you're doing, here's a donation, put it towards your educational programs. Like I said, the local sponsors, we have businesses that say, hey, this is cool, your garden's in our neighborhood, here's a donation. So we piece that all together.
So those members, they are donating money, but does that make them say they have share in the organization? Or tell me how that works.
Yeah, just to clarify that, as a farm, we're the hub, the farm is the hub, and we produce vegetables. and we have CSA shareholders, so community supported agriculture shareholders. Those are people who in the spring say, I would like to be eating your vegetables over the summer. Here is my share, and here is my membership. So membership supports our educational programs, but then they're buying vegetables from us. So they are shareholders in the actual production of the farm. Then we also have a large pool of people, both in-state and out-of-state, who are members who say, here is money towards your educational programs. Everyone has access to the farm. We want people to come up to the farm, explore the farm, bring their children up, because we're very keen in getting children to get a connection with where their food comes from, get them planting seeds. So yeah, the farm is open to everyone. We have shareholders who actually are buying the vegetables, members who are supporting our educational programs.
So these members that are buying the vegetables, do they just come up and you pick them themselves?
Shareholder, okay.
The shareholders, yeah.
So the shareholders.
How does that work?
So the CSA is, it's a pretty neat concept. It started in Japan and has arrived in the US both on the East and West Coast and is morphed across. So the CSA concept has been around for the last 20 some odd years. The way we do it is in February, we get our shareholders signed up. We get money up front. We buy the seeds and the amendments that we need. We know exactly who we're growing for. So we know we're going to be growing for 85 families this year. So we put that into our little flow chart, and we know how many broccoli heads we need to do, and we have to stagger them over the summer. So it's a mathematical process there. And then each week, we start harvesting for these people. So we have a Monday and a Thursday harvest. So if you're a shareholder, you say, hey, I want to be on your Monday share. So every Monday at the downtown market, we bring the shares, and you come over and you get a basket. So you get all kinds of things, and you get local and seasonal.
Okay. So if I wanted to do it, and I give you my money every Monday, basically I'd get a basket of produce. Now, what if I get some produce that I've never eaten before and I don't know how to prepare it? I mean, No,
that's part of the key here is to get people thinking about what can grow in their community and what they can eat. So the beginning share might be salad mix and turnips and radishes. And then as we go along in the season, you'll be getting more things. You'll be getting different types of Asian greens. You'll be getting kohlrabi. And yes,
I don't know. I've never cooked that. So,
Yeah.
I think if I got that, I'd be like, okay, Google.
Some people get their basket
what am I
and
gonna
go,
do with this?
what is that one? Is that the kohlrabi? Is that? So what we do is we have a farm note. And so in the farm note, it tells them, this is what's going on at the farm. This is what's in your basket, and you flip it over, and then there's recipes, and it says, Samantha, this is how you cook or prepare this. Kohlrabi, you can eat raw, you can stir fry, and we put recipes in there. So we have a bunch of shareholders who say, my favorite vegetable is parsnips, and I've never had them until you gave them to us. So we're trying to really turn people on to things that grow in Alaska, things that are new and exciting, because food's about